Alright, welcome back. This go round, we're going to take a look at a classic shooting game for the Neo Geo. And that game is Last Resort. And it is the Neo Geo's answer to R-Type. And probably the reason why it's Neo Geo's answer to R-Type is from kind of like the grapevine, rumors, etc., whatever you want to call it. Some of the employees at IRM used to kind of hop, skip, and jump over to SNK and help them out in a few of their games. Kind of like a behind-the-scenes type of dealie. And it comes out with pretty good results. And I believe a lot of companies used to do that. Because a lot of them used to, even though some of them might have a rivalry, a lot of them might have had investment in the company, might have had maybe like a familial type of relationship, having their family in there, or, you know, who knows, possibly. There's many reasons why a lot of these companies get together, but a lot of times it works out in the interest of the gamer. And that's really what it comes down to. And the thing about this game, it's really is notorious for, is difficulty. The game is really difficult because it's an arcade game. And it's meant to steal your quarters. Now, if you're looking at the ship right now, you can see right then and there, especially with the floating orb turret type of thing, that's extremely reminiscent of R-Type. You can't get no more R-Type than that. So, it's emulating R-Type is actually, to me, in a lot of ways, is a form of flattery. And I think they do a pretty good job at it. Unfortunately, if you were playing this in the arcades, you better have deep pockets. And unfortunately, if you had the Neo Geo back at the time, you still better have deep pockets, because this game ran you like $179 to $200. So, yeah. That's the price of quality, unfortunately. But the thing is that it really shows you what the Neo Geo can actually do at the time by, you know, kind of bringing R-Type to the Neo Geo. And like I said, you're getting your value for the money because the game retains the difficulty of the arcade. And unfortunately, you know, it can be very frustrating. Now, if you see in the background and all, it kind of resembles that Neo Tokyo type of deal from Akira, and that was actually in a lot of different SNK games. So I guess they pay homage to Akira because it is it's a great anime, so that's another form of flattery. And that's pointed out to me, I think, by MC Pentland a couple times. He's always mentioned in certain games that had that Neo Tokyo type of look that he would say, hey, this looks pretty close to Akira. And when I kind of look at him, like, yeah, it pretty much does. So, which is actually really cool. It adds a lot to the game, and it pays homage to that anime. Now, you can see a lot of details in the backgrounds and all, a lot of color, a lot of, you know, style and flair. As you see when you blow up this different shit that the pilots know, they become ejected from the aircraft or whatever the fuck that shit is. And from what I understand, the plot is kind of like a supercomputer has taken over, and your pilot has to go and kill the shit out of it for, you know, mankind and all that other jazz that falls into, you know, to play. Now, as you can see, I'm cheating my ass off in here because it's kind of hard to talk and kind of review a game like this because it's one of those games where it takes intense concentration to get through. Because you will die quickly. Like, that's the only problem with this game. You have to constantly keep playing in order to get good. It's just that difficult. But if you progress, it's all rewarding in the same benefit. So, there's a couple ways you can look at it. Alright, we're coming up on here on our first boss. Okay, he's not too bad, but he can get annoying. There's not much more to say. As you can see, there's just a lot of detail in the background, a lot of interesting type of concepts going on. It's just a pretty cool game. It really is. Now, the problem with the cool game is that the cool game is going to cost you some money. And unfortunately, you're not talking dollars and cents. You're talking hundreds of dollars and some cents. That's the problem with the game. Because the game has increased in popularity throughout the years and all. Because a lot of people have played this game in the arcade a zillion years ago. And want to kind of rekindle that experience. Especially if you're a shooter fan. People really want this game a lot. Because, like I said, it's kind of like that next level of R-Type for the Neo Geo. And then you have games like Polestar and Blazing Star that took it to a whole new level graphically and gameplay-wise, while still retaining certain key and core concepts. They just bring it to a whole new level, which is actually really cool. You can see the graphical effects with the rain going on, which is really neat. It adds a lot to the game. It really is cool. A lot of the weather effects and all, which is nice. Now, like I said, the problem with the game, the AES version, God, it is expensive. And the MVS version, unfortunately, is the same route. I mean, the cheaper version is kind of the Neo CD version. Or you can actually get this on the SNK, what is it, Volume 1 Classics deal. And you can play it, but some people bitch and complain, which probably rightfully so, that it actually doesn't really play the same. It just has a different feel because, you know, it is emulated. You know, it's not exactly the same game, but, you know, if you don't got the money, it might be the best way to go. Or you're going to have to go the good old MAME route. It's really your choice at that stage of the game. And like I said, you're going to encounter some slowdown in this game. And here's where it becomes really prevalent. Look at this shit right here. Now, bullets like that eventually would come into play in a lot of shooters later on. Especially Cave, where they've kind of like invented the bullet hell almost. As you can see, my ship is slowdown. Now, to be honest, I see how you can see I have the invincibility set on here. Because otherwise, I would have been massacred. Now, I don't know if necessarily the bullet slowdown is purposely done, or it's due to lack of mags. I can't really say, but sometimes games kind of slow it down, kind of to either give you an advantage or a disadvantage, if that kind of makes sense. But if you can, try and get a hold of this game. It's really enjoyable, especially if you're a shooter fan who's looking for a challenge, because you will not be able to complete this game in one sitting. It's one of these games that it takes a long time to master, and it might take you a zillion years to actually complete it. So don't expect to just get through it, because, like I said, it's notoriously difficult. But yeah, it's nice to see a game like this on the Neo Geo and play such a classic game, because it's still well loved today, and it's something that should be preserved. Is that just that R-Type feel, look, style. And hey, what can I say? It's a halfway decent game. Alright then, I'm going to show a tad more gameplay, and I'm out this bitch. Alright then, take care.